December 5th, the Jets go into MetLife against the Indianapolis Colts, Monday night game, lose 41-10. We called that rock bottom. December 17th, the Jets go into MetLife against the Dolphins and Matt Moore, lose 34-13. Matt Moore threw 4 touchdowns in this game. Keep in mind, Ryan Tannehill's hurt. All right, he may not make it to the playoffs. And again, a huge congratulations to the Dolphins. Of course, we failed to realize that because of Denver's loss, Miami's in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. So congratulations to the Dolphins. Matt Moore throws 4 touchdowns in this game. The Jets' offensive line is dreadful. And the defense is horrific. We called this rock bottom. Saturday, the Jets lose to the Patriots 41-3. 41-3. Brady throws 3 touchdowns. Doesn't even finish the game. Jimmy Garoppolo came in laughing. LeGarrette Blount rushes for 2 touchdowns. The Jets were 1 for 11 on 3rd down. They had 6 penalties versus the Patriots 3. New England scored 5 touchdowns. The Jets 0 for 2 in the red zone. We call this rock bottom. I don't know how much worse it gets for the Jets, but I do know this. It ain't getting any better. And we talked about it a lot this year, about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Was he the real deal, this and that? They can't keep Ryan Fitzpatrick out of the starting lineup. Every time that Ryan Fitzpatrick gets benched, something happens where he comes back in. Geno Smith replaces him, tears his ACL in the first 5 minutes. Ryan Fitzpatrick is back. Bryce Petty gets hurt twice. Remember that play where the offensive line for the Jets fell apart against Miami? Bryce Petty got sandwiched. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back in. And then against New England, Bryce Petty gets hurt again. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has to come back in and save the day. Bryce Petty 0 for 3 and an interception. Ryan Fitzpatrick 8 for 21, 2 interceptions. Does it get any worse? Oh, it does. New Year's Day, MetLife Stadium, Jets, Bills. Rex Ryan comes into town, and potentially his last game as Bills head coach. Comes in and destroys the Jets. Now that will be rock bottom. Congratulations, New York. You're the worst. As much as it's... You see, I don't even have the words for the Jets right now. They have been one of the biggest disgraces in the NFL this year. And you had Cleveland, who finally won a game this week. They won their Super Bowl. They're going to finish 1-15. You had Jacksonville seriously underperform. Denver underperformed. Carolina underperformed. Minnesota underperformed. And then you have teams like Jacksonville. You had teams like Cleveland. You had teams like... trying to think of Philadelphia. You had teams like San Francisco and Los Angeles. To me, the Jets are the biggest embarrassment this year in the NFL. You want to fight me on that? Let's fight. 973-655-4256. Because for LA, it was expected with Jeff Fisher. Cleveland was not a good team going in. We all knew that. We know they have a future with these draft picks if they use them right. But we know we know Cleveland was going to have this year. We knew Carolina was not going to perform in 15-1 like they did last year. We didn't think they would miss the playoffs. No, don't get me wrong. I picked them to win the South. But let's not pretend here like the Jets were not as big of an embarrassment, if not the biggest embarrassment in the NFL. Ryan Fitzpatrick was signed this offseason. Let's go before that. Ryan Fitzpatrick holds the organization hostage. Hostage. Won't sign with the Jets. Nobody else is signing him because they know exactly how the story's going to play out. You can't be trusted if in your 11-year career you had one good year and the rest you were nothing more than a backup for like 1,000 other teams. You can't be relied on for one good year out of 11, and you lost the biggest game of your career last year against Buffalo in Buffalo to get you into the playoffs. Remember that? You lost the biggest game of your career. You were dreadful. Now, the whole team was dreadful. Don't get me wrong. Brandon Marshall running routes that he shouldn't have ran. The defense was bad. The O-line wouldn't protect Fitzpatrick. But Fitzpatrick was bad in that game. Let's not pretend that's not the case. He was bad. And the Jets signed him 1 year as a test. Is he going to pan out? Will he be good? Will we go back to the playoffs? Here's what they need to do. They need to fire Todd Bowles. I wouldn't say this year. I don't think it's fair to overreact over a 4-12 year. Yes, they're going 4-12. Where last year they were 10-6, should have made the playoffs at 11-5. But I don't think it's fair to overreact on 1 year. I definitely think McCagnon's going to stay. I'll be surprised if he gets fired. But, again, I think Todd Bowles is going to stay. I think next year's his make or break, winner take all year. But, my God, congratulations to the Jets. The single biggest embarrassment in the NFL. If they had an award for that at the NFL Honors Awards, I would be writing letters to present it to Todd Bowles, Woody Johnson, McCagnon, and the entire Jets organization, because they have done nothing but utterly and physically embarrass the tri-state, the New York area, and themselves. They have been horrific this year. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm so glad their last game is next week. Because I'm so sick and tired of talking about the Jets. I'm so sick and tired of ranting about how bad they are on this show. Next week, they are going to realize what rock bottom feels like when Rex Ryan comes in and beats them by 20. I'm not defending Todd Bowles here for the season he had. The Jets should be embarrassed and should fold the franchise, sell it, and flip it. That's how bad they did this year. Coming off a season last year where you had potential, your defense was stellar. I'm not going to say Fitzpatrick was great. He was very good. And you had expectations this year with Fitzpatrick coming back. Your whole team came back, basically. You lost Chris Ivory to free agency. I get that. You picked up Matt Forte. Nice veteran running back here. We're not going to pretend here that Todd Bowles isn't at fault for a lot of this, because in my opinion, he is. So let's not pretend that there isn't a chance that Todd Bowles doesn't lose his job next week. Okay, let's not be surprised if we wake up Black Monday on January 2nd and we see the breaking news, Todd Bowles has been released of his duties as head coach of the New York Jets. Let's not be surprised if that happens, because I won't be. There is a legitimate chance that is going to happen. Look at some of the numbers against New England. Tom Brady, 17 for 27, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. LeGarrette Blount, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns. 50 yards, he had 2 touchdowns. Julian Edelman had 5 receptions and 89 yards, okay? White had 32 yards and a touchdown. Bennett, 19 yards and a touchdown, okay? Tom Brady used everybody on the field. Again, Garoppolo came in the fourth quarter probably laughing under his helmet as to how easy this was. Scott Hansen on the NFL Network on NFL Red Zone said it perfectly. When the Jets kicked that field goal in the fourth quarter, his exact words were, and the Jets scored on Christmas Eve. Yay. That summed up the entire performance that the Jets had in New England. They didn't have a performance. They didn't show up. They missed a flight. They went into New England and embarrassed themselves. We know they played them well in MetLife. Foxborough's a different story. They went in there and got killed from the start. You were down 27-0 at halftime. For God's sakes, Geno Smith could at least put points on the board. Yeah, I know that's a stretch. Again, you have a 1-14 team. I can't believe I'm saying that in Cleveland, who's going to be 1-15. You had a Jacksonville team that was horrible. You had Los Angeles fire Jeff Fisher midway through the year because their Coliseum that fit 90,000 people wasn't getting 40,000. San Francisco, who fired Jim Tomsula, gets Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly completely embarrasses the franchise. The New York Jets this year are the biggest single embarrassment in the NFL. And you have the Browns, the 49ers, the Rams, and in my opinion, it's the Jets that were the most embarrassing of all. How do you go into a season this year like you had last year and from the start lay down and die? That's what the Jets did. They laid down and died. And I feel bad for guys like Bryce Petty. I feel bad for guys like Christian Hackenberg. In fact, I would activate Christian Hackenberg and start him next week. Why not? You're going to get blown out anyway by Buffalo. I will actually be surprised if the Jets keep the game close. We're going to do picks later. I believe Buffalo is favored by 6.5. I'm going to fact check that real quick because we are going to do picks at 3:30 like we do every SMC Sports at 3:30. We're going to do those picks. And Buffalo is favored in this game, of course, and the game is at MetLife, so it'll be Rex Ryan's last game. Buffalo's favored by 6. And spoiler alert, I'm picking Buffalo to win by double digits. I am. I will actually be shocked if the Jets keep the game close. Not cover the spread. I'll be shocked if they keep it close. Because that's how bad the Jets have performed this year. Again, you look at the game against Indianapolis, where they lost 41-10 on December 5th. You look at last week against Miami. Matt Moore came in and threw 4 touchdowns. Embarrassed you on your home field. We know the real reason why the Jets' end zones weren't colored as Jets, because the grounds crew was too embarrassed to put their name on the end zones. It wasn't because the Giants were playing the next day at 1 o'clock. It's because they were embarrassed that the Jets play their home games at MetLife. So they didn't want the Jets' name. Woody Johnson didn't want his own name on the end zone. That's how bad this got. And then Saturday, you lost by 38 points. I know it's New England. I know it's the number 1 seed. I know it's the best team in the AFC. They now are the best team in the AFC. All right, because Derek Carr is no longer active. But 41-3. They show no fight, no guts, no class. Literally, the Jets went on the field and stood there. And Todd Bowles, I know he was fresh out of the hospital and everything, but could you score a touchdown? Could you kick 2 field goals? Could you show some life? The Jets were 1 for 11 converting on 3rd down. They were 0 for 2 in the red zone. And New England scored 5 touchdowns on what has been a god-awful Jets defense, a god-awful secondary. Darrelle Revis doesn't even know what day it is. The team is bad. Here's what they need to do. Clean house. Fitzpatrick, obviously, is not coming back. Clean house. Build the whole team around Leonard Williams, and the next quarterback you draft, which, if you're lucky, it might be Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson, because you'll be that high up in the draft. You might have a top 4 pick. Now, in my own opinion, Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson should be gone by then. But my God, the Jets are awful. And they need to figure out what to do here. Woody Johnson, who is probably one of the worst owners in the NFL, needs to figure it out. Mike McChesney was brought in for reasons like this. He brought a team to 10-6 last year, almost made the playoffs. It's guys like Mike McChesney that need to figure this out. And he will. I have no doubt he will. And the best part is, the Jets have hit rock bottom. They can only go up from here, right? I mean, I think that's how it works. The point is, I have faith in the Jets going forward in the next couple of years. I don't have faith in them right now. I don't have faith in them to get by next week against Buffalo. In my own opinion, this is going to be Rex Ryan's last game as the Bills head coach. And he's going to go in and slaughter the Jets. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. Is this Todd Bowles' last game as Jets head coach? To me, if that's the case, it's a little unfair for 2 years. I won't be surprised if we see it, though. I won't. Because let's not pretend that this team wasn't awful in front of our eyes on every single primetime game they've been given. Whether it was Thursday night, or Saturday night, or Monday night, or Sunday night. This team has been bad. There was a reason they were flexed off Sunday night Thanksgiving weekend. Now, the Jets played the Patriots very well at MetLife. Don't get me wrong. That was a close game. But the performance the Jets showed on Saturday was the exact fear for reasoning to take the Jets off primetime Sunday night on Thanksgiving weekend. Moral of the story, rebuild the entire franchise or sell it. All right? Rebuild the whole franchise around Leonard Williams and then go for it all in the next 5 to 6 years because that's how long you have. You'll be lucky to be in the playoffs in the next 3 years. This has probably been one of the worst Jets teams I've ever seen in my entire life. And they have nobody to blame but themselves.